So brute forcing a PHP login form is quite easy on its own. All you need is a little bit of Python, and well, actually all you need is something that can run Python. I mean, you could do that on Windows or Mac, but Linux just makes it the simplest, so that's what I'm going to show you today. This is a website form that we've set up for the purposes of this demonstration. Remember, if you're trying this yourself, do not commit crimes and do this on other people's stuff. So, with that being said, let's go right into the Ubuntu. I have a subsystem set up here. So first off, you're going to have to make sure that python-pip is installed. This is the package manager for Python, so that we can grab the other things we need. If you don't already have Python installed, you're going to need that too. So there we go. I already have it installed, so it's not upgraded. Then after that, you're going to need to grab pip install. We're going to need mechanize. All right. This is the package that will let us interact with the web browser. We'll be able to create objects to do so. And as you see, I already have it installed. So let me get straight into the... First off, you're going to need to make two scripts here. With me, I already have both of them made here. So let's go into the first one and let me walk through how this works and what you're supposed to do. First off, we have on the first line import mechanize. That is importing the mechanized thing so we can make the browser object, and then we make the browser object on the second line, and then this is just a personal preference. I like to create some white space so it's easier to read everything. Then I ask for a URL from the user so they can input whatever website they want to go to. Then it opens that URL, and this is the first important part. Select form. We're going to need to select the form that is on the page. So to do that, we're going to need to go back into the web browser over here. Right click on the actual form itself, hit inspect element, and you see a bunch of stuff here. Here we go. This is the form. Now this form does not have a name, which is a bit of a problem, because usually if it has a name, we can just do something like login, something like this, and that'll be the name of the form. But since this doesn't have a name, we can't do that, and instead we do this, which will select the second. This one will select the second form, because if we go back into our browser here, you notice that there is a sneaky form that we forgot to clean up here when we made it. That is the register form. So if you do nr0, it's going to select this one instead, and that's not what we want. So we want to do the second one. Then you're going to want to find the labels for the actual, whatever the fields themselves, which we can find by going back into our browser here and looking at the input fields right here. So you see the first one is called user, and the second one is called pass. Those are the ones we're going to need to pass to it. And while we're here, look at this method option. This is going to be important later on. It says post here. Make sure just to look at that too. And back into here, I'm going to ask the user for the username that they want to try. And I just put fail here because we're trying to invoke a authentication failure here. That's the whole point. And then this is the method post. At the end, we're going to set the method to post, whatever it says on the website. And then we submit it. And ultimately at the end, this is what we're going to get. It's going to print this string and tell us what the URL is, the response URL from our submission. And as I said, we're supposed to be getting a failed authentication here. If you get a successful one, well, you're already in, but if we're supposed to get a failed one so that we know what happens when we fail. And that is important for this next part that I'm going to show you here in just a second. First, we're going to test that script is working so I can show you. So you're going to want to run the command python and then the script name, and it'll ask for the URL, which in our case, by the way, this is all going to be blurred out because we do not want people messing with our systems. So that's why even in the browser you saw all that stuff blurred out. So did that, then we're just going to try admin, and boom, the failed login response should be this. And as you see, I have unblurred this part for you. So it's the base name and then just the loginfail.php. That's what we're going to be looking for. So if we hop over to this next script, that's the cracker, it's a lot of the same stuff, except this time I'm asking for the word list. You can make this with just regular traditional brute force, trying every single one, but like this method of brute forcing is quite slow, so you're going to be a while if you're going to try something like that. But if you have a word list, it makes it better. Word lists are generally better anyway. So we ask for the word list path, and then we try to open that word list. I put this in a try statement just in case something goes wrong. Usually if the word list is incorrect, it'll tell me. But if you just see an exception, you kind of face palm and have to do a bunch of annoying reading. Then we ask for the username again, and it goes into this loop. So we've dumped all of the word list into this variable, and we're grabbing the passwords from each one, and we're gonna basically do the same thing, except actually try each and every password here, grabbing it from the form. And this statement at the bottom is the most important. As you see, I said if not, so this is looking for if this doesn't happen, and we're testing to see if it's the login failed. As we know from the last investigation, we found that the loginfail.php was what we get when it failed. If for some reason it passes the same URL, it returns the same URL after a success, this isn't gonna work. But you'll have to change the script a bit to find something else. But in this case, it will, because I know that it's something else. So after that, it's going to print the password found once it hits something, and then it's going to break out of there. So now, I forgot. There's one more thing you need to do. You need to make sure that you strip the password when it goes into the password form, just because it randomly decides not to work sometimes without that. It just cleans stuff up. Anyway, after that, let's try demoing this. So as you can see, in the top here, I have two .txt files listed. Those are my word lists. The first word list is very simple. It has like 10 passwords in it. It's just for a demo here. I made it myself. And I'm going to use that one first to give you an example of what happens. And then I'm going to use a more complex one. So word list path is word list.txt. And then the password, we're just going to go with admin. I know the admin password is simple, so it should, yeah, there we go, instantly. Password found is password. So if we go back to the browser here, and we try that out, boom. Login successful, you are now logged in. And but what happens if we want it for another one that doesn't really cover? Because as you see, this word list is, let me bring it back here. This word list is basically very bare bones, doesn't have much in it, just there for the sake of it. So of course it cracked it really quickly because it was literally the second entry in there. But up there, here I have the 10 million password lists, which is some of the top 10 million most common passwords. We're going to give that a try instead and show you how far it goes. So there's another one, another login that I'm going to try to get here. Let me just copy and paste that. And we're going to try the JB login. This one I know is going to take a bit of time. So as you see, nothing's happening. It's just blinking like that. It's processing. Just let it go. This is going to take roughly, I'd guess, like about 2 minutes, because it's the password that it's looking for is on like the 1500th line or something like that. So I'm going to set a timer and show you how fast it goes. Alright, and as we see here, we have found the password is 123. Now that took a fair amount of time. It's all going to depend on your hardware, the server's hardware, and the connection between the two of you. If the server has like timeout, like it only lets you do a certain amount of attempts in a certain amount of time, generally that's going to stop this type of attack. But sometimes it'll just take even longer. So as we see, we have 1, 2, 3. Let's check this out. Go into the browser here. Try that out. JB 1, 2, 3. Boom. There we go. Login successful. And as you see in the top here, I'm going to blur this here. It says login has succeeded. .php. It was login failed for the thing. If we had just assumed that it was login succeeded, we would have not gotten it right. And that's the end of that. Of course, this is a very specific hack, and there's room to improve this and room to move it around depending on whatever website you're trying to get into. So you should always put in the effort to do just the small things like set authentication lockout attempts. Say you're only allowed this many attempts and then you're out, or else you'll find yourself kind of doxed like this. If I pull up the metrics here, I'll have them on the screen here. You see the amount of login times that have accumulated on the server is quite something. So if you start to see these numbers surface, you know that something sus is really going on.